Hello, everybody. Mike here, and I'm testing. Restream. I'm streaming to several places, but not only that, I have Substance Painter, Photoshop, and I have Unity up. And a whole bunch of stuff up. So thank you for joining me. Also, Restream didn't start right away and told me I had to restart, so I'm not happy with that. So this is not your typical video. I have no idea if I'm on YouTube. I can't find that stream. I found Twitch's and I found Facebook, but hopefully I can find the chat to YouTube. That's my primary channel. So if you're interested in making video games or modeling or the process from making assets for a video game and putting them into Unity Engine or maybe Unreal Engine, you come to the right place. We're going to set up a golf ball putt-putt course or golf ball putt-putt course or something like that putt-putt course. And we're going to model it in Blender and put it in Unity. And I'm testing my CPU, my GPU, testing my stream, my ability to stream, and testing, I'm just testing. So I thought maybe just modeling something in Blender or give you folks something to look at while I do the test and run these numbers and see how things work out. Like I said, I wasn't too happy how it started. But the way it is, YouTube is shutting everybody down that's in the Truther movement, folks. Rob Skiba has already taken precautions. He's switched all his videos over to Library, LBRY. Do a search for that. It seems to be a good alternative. And I guess there's some other alternatives out there. It's up to you folks to stay connected to us. Unfortunately, you have to learn new technology and jump through different hoops, but it looks like that's going to be the only way to get out the truth on what's going on this earth. So probably I'll be switching my channel, or at least putting my videos over to Library until YouTube closes me down. If they do, I try not to do things to get myself shut down, but you just never know. Like Rob Skiba said, he made a video about it, and we're certainly all concerned. Right now, you should be looking at a Blender screen. Should be. And I'm using OBS. So I'm testing OBS, the ability to switch between applications. I have Substance Painter here. I have Unity here, or Blender here. That is OBS. You don't want to see that, the hollow mirror effect. I have Unity open, and I have Photoshop open. So we got all these open at once, using a lot of CPU and memory. And we're going to see how my 16 gigs of RAM hold up here. And that's what we're testing today. I thought we might as well do something. If you never used Blender before, it's a great start to learn modeling, CGI. And once you start using it, you'll be able to spot right away the fakeries out there, because you'll just know what to look for. It'll become so apparent and evident to you once you start using modeling software. Become so apparent. Green screens will become apparent to you. So it's a good practice, and if you ever thought about making games, well, you're in a good place. And so today I thought maybe we're going to do something in Blender. Probably make a golf ball. So something simple, easy. I'm going to move fast, but I'm going to try to explain everything. Let me turn on screencast keys. Now, for some reason in Blender 2.80, screencast keys shut down. I don't know why that is. But if they do, I'll try to remember to enable them again so you can see what keys I'm pushing. And I'll explain everything as I'm going along. You should be able to follow this. This is like super easy. You can see how easy it is to make a model and put it into a gaming engine. Of course, they're using Unity for VR. You can play with water in real time, much like our folks at NASA do, and you can start to understand the technology they use through Microsoft HoloLens and faking weightlessness on the ISS space station. I mean fake station. So let's get started. Blender open, and we're just going to push the A key, select everything. We're going to push X, and we're just going to delete all this stuff. So we want to make a golf ball, a golf ball, or whatever it's called. I don't even like golf. I mean, it's got to be one of the most boring sports ever invented, but some people like it. So have at that. Have at golf. We're going to push Shift A, mesh. We're going to create an icosphere. There we go. There's our icosphere. And if you notice at the bottom, there's a little black box. You want to click on that, and it will say subdivisions. We want to crank this guy up to 4. Yeah, 4 of them. Also for the radius, I want 1.1 meter, and just make it a little bit bigger. All right, so you can see we have our golf ball well on the way to being made. You want to click on this little wrench icon over here, and you want to add modifier, and we want a subdivision surface modifier. Leave the numbers all the same. Click apply. Next, we want to hit the tab key. That gets us into edit mode. And what we want to do, there are pentagons and hexagons in here. And you can see the hexagons here, there's 6 sides, and we see the pentagon here. What we're interested in, these little dots in the center of these guys, and those are called vertices. All right, so with vertex mode selected, and you can do that with pushing the number 1 key, vertex mode number 2 key, that's edge select mode, number 3 key is face select mode. So when you're modeling, you're working with edges, vertices, and faces, but we want vertex mode. To deselect anything in Blender 2.8, just click outside of the model, and it deselects everything. You used to have to push the A key, but no more. So that's kind of cool. So we're going to select one of these vertexes in our pentagon, and we're going to hold the Shift key down, and we're going to select a vertex in one of our hexagons. Great. Now we got 2 selected. Awesome. We're going to hit the select thing up here. We're going to select similar, and we're amount of connecting edges. Boop up to bam. That should select all these vertices in the center of our hexagons and pentagons. And we're just going to push the X key here, and we're going to dissolve them. Goodbye. See, you wouldn't want to be. All right. Next, we have these vertices in the middle of our edges here. So there's one, they're all over the freaking place. So to get rid of those, we just want to push the A key, and we want to push X, and we want to go to unlimited dissolve. And what that does is it looks at the angle of the geometry. So any vertex that is not starting an angle or part of an angle, it'll just get rid of those guys for us, and there we are. So now you should have something that looks like this. Our next step is we want to push the A key to select everything. We want to push the I key, that's inset, and we want to push it 2 times. 1, 2, boom, right there. And so now we can inset these faces. If you want, you can hold the Shift key, and that'll allow you to inset slowly. Probably want to inset them to about there. That looks good. And with everything just like it is, we want to push the E key. That means extrude. So, and then we want to push extrude, and we want to push S for scale. We can hold the Shift key, and we can just extrude these guys in just a little bit, not too much. We don't want like alien golf ball or anything. There we go. Let's click the Tab key, go back into object mode, and that's what we have so far. Not really golf ball looking, but we're getting there. Let's go ahead and go to add modifiers. That is the wrench key, and we're going to add another subdivision surface modifier. And where it says viewport, we want to crank this guy. Let's crank her up to 3. There we go. There's our golf ball. How about that? See how fast that was? See how easy modeling is? So the problem with the golf ball is that it's really high poly. And if you look at this thing, it is crazy high poly. Let's turn off X-ray mode. And we can't really use this. I wouldn't even use this to render in Blender with. And definitely would not put this guy in a video game. So we're going to have to do something about this and fix this up. However, the surface detail is good enough. Not perfect, it's not exactly like a golf ball, but it's good enough, and it's going to be far away enough from the player. They're not going to notice the difference either. So that's pretty awesome. Well, to fix this, we can go ahead and hide this guy. You can click on this little eyeball icon over here, item, or you can push the H key. Well, you gotta select him and push the H key. Boop, boop up, he's gone. And we wanna make sure our 3D cursor is in the center. If you ever like mess up your 3D cursor, all right, like it's over here, because wherever this 3D cursor is at, that's where our model's created, at the 3D cursor, and that's where the origin point of that model is going to be. But we want to keep it in the center, and so what we do is hit Shift S, and you want cursor to world origin, and it's back where it belongs. And then we're going to Shift A again, select mesh. We're going to create a UV sphere, just a regular, normal, run-of-the-mill UV sphere. And this guy here, he's really low poly. Not a lot of the polygons in this guy. This is what we're going to use for a golf ball. But we want to keep the detail of our icosphere right here. We want to keep this detail, but not use all these crazy polys. All right, we want to keep the detail. I'm moving my we want to keep all this detail here, but we don't want all the geometry, because that's way too much for any video game, especially on like a mobile, Android or iOS. My gosh, I should kill the thing. So what we're going to do is hide that, bring back our golf ball. We want to select this. We want to right click here. We want to shade that smooth. And so we're going to bring the detail from our icosphere and put it on top of this regular run-of-the-mill sphere. And this regular run-of-the-mill sphere is going to be our actual golf ball. So let's go ahead and just name this. And we'll name it golf ball. Just name that golf ball. And so we want to give this guy a material. So we're going to tab into edit mode. That's the tab key. We're going to click on this red beach ball looking icon thing here. We're going to hit this plus sign. We're going to click new. We're going to give it a name. We'll name it golf ball, like so. And we just want to assign this material to that. All right, all done there. Next thing we want to do is we want to go into UV edit mode. It's a little tab up here, pretty handy in Blender 2.80. And there's our UV editor, and I want to make this, this is UV map, it's unwrapped. This is the unwrapped sphere, okay? And this is what video games use, all right? Most of the time we need to unwrap our models, and this is already unwrapped for us, so that's also awesome. We don't have to unwrap it. We're going to click new here, and I would just want to make this a little bit bigger. 2048 by 2048 will be fine. A lot of times I'll go for 4096 because we can always scale down if I need to. If things get a little too texture heavy for the texture memory in the game we're making, I'm just going to name this golf ball. And there we go. We're just going to click OK. It's going to get a lot bigger. So now we have, bigger UV map equals better graphics. Keep that in mind, okay? Bigger UV map, better graphics, but eats up more texture memory and degrades game performance. So it's kind of a trade-off, and so that's kind of what we work with when we're making video games. But I think this will be good for what we're doing today. The next step we want to do is we want to remember we signed this to text. Right now it has the Principled BSDF shader. What we want to do is click on this little door icon thingy here. We want to go into shader editor, and there is our Principled BSDF shader. We don't need to use this right now, but what we want to do is we want to Shift A. We want to create a texture. We want to create an image texture, and we want to set that here. Now, for that UV map we just created, we want to click on this little mountain with the moon icon, whatever that is, and we'll just click golf ball, and we're going to add that UV map texture that we just created into this here. And we also want to make sure that this is selected. Have a white box around it. If we have anything else selected, it's not going to work. And I don't know what I did to my Principled BSDF shader. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we just want to make sure this is selected. All right, so just keep it selected. And from here, we want to go back into our UV editor right there. I'm going to click over here. We want to go back into object mode. And so we're going to take this high poly icosphere with all this detail on it, and we're going to bake this information so we can use it for our low poly golf ball. Pretty cool, huh? And you know what? The players won't even notice the difference. And when you're making video games, we're making a normal map. You're going to be doing this a lot if you are part of the modeling asset department of your game team. So let's get this going. So we need to click on this little microwave icon or radio or whatever that is, and where it says render engine, you want to select that. Right now it's set to Eevee. We want cycles. When we select cycles, the bake option will come up. We want to select that. Where it says bake type, you want to click that. We want to click normal map, and then we want selected to active. We want to check that box. We want to go here where it says ray trace distance. We're going to try 0.2. And so now what we want to do is we want to select our icosphere first, because we're going to bake this object. And then we want to hold the shift key down and select our golf ball. We're going to bake this high poly information onto the golf ball. And when we've done that, we're going to click bake. A little box will appear down here, and it should give us bake time. Yep. And it'll just tick away depending on how fast your computer is, depending on your GPU, depending on your render settings will determine how long this takes. It shouldn't take that long. It's starting to bake now, and boop bop to bam. There is our UV map, and we're going to use this for our low poly golf ball. And if you have any green or yellow in this, you're going to have to set your ray distance different and bake again until it's nice and purple, just like this. All right, so let's get out of this. We'll go back to this modeling tab. We'll hide our icosphere. Yeah, let's hide that guy. And so our next step, I already have Unity loaded. So if you have Unity, go ahead and create you a new project, a 3D project. I called mine Golf Live. Nothing is done in here. I haven't done anything ahead of time. So just have a new Unity project ready to go. Back to Blender. We're going to select this sphere, this golf ball. And we're going to go to File, and we're going to go to Export, and we're going to export it as an FBX. That is a model type. And for presets, I'm going to click Unity. Now I made the Unity presets myself, but you can see what I have put in these boxes here, so you can make yours the same. If you have any bone structures in your model, or you have any animation in your model, you want to uncheck this box, okay? Otherwise, things will get screwed up when they go to Unity. Next thing I want to do is I want to select my Unity folder that we have our, let's see here. It's Golf Live, I guess, and we select the asset folder. And since I don't have a model folder, I'm going to go ahead and create one. MODELS, models. And inside this model folder, I'm going to create a golf ball folder. And so I'm going to put my model and all my textures there and my material. I don't like having separate folders for materials and models and things like that in Unity. I like the model to be there and everything associated with that model in the same spot. That's how I like to set it up. If you want to separate them all, go for it, all right? But for me, I just like everything in the same folder when I'm working in Unity. That way I know where everything is at, and I don't have to hunt down that one material in a list of 100 materials in the material folder. We're going to name this model golf ball. And we're going to click export. All right, so that golf ball went to our Unity folder. Oh, something we forgot to do. So let's go back to UV editor. We forgot to save our normal map. So we want to click on this little image here. We want to click save as golf ball. So I'm going to just name this well, name this golf ball underscore normal map. And I think I'm just going to put it on my desktop for now. So we're just going to just save that image. So make sure that's saved out. And we'll go back to our modeling layout. All right, so next thing I want to do is I want to texture this golf ball in Substance Painter. Substance Painter is about $20 a month. And it's well worth it if you're into modeling. We'll just click on File here. We'll go to New. And right here is Select. I want to select my golf ball. This box here, Import Settings, Create Texture Set for UDIM font tile, is for the Unreal Engine. Keep that in mind. We're not using the Unreal Engine. And I exported my golf ball into my Substance, my Unity folder, into my Golf Live and Assets and Models and Golf Ball, and there it is. So we'll just select that here. Also, I want to add in my normal map that's on my desktop. So we're just going to click here. There's my normal map right there. And add that, and we're going to click OK. And there is my low poly golf ball. So under here, mesh maps, you'll see something that says select normal map. We're going to select that. And there is the golf ball normal map I imported. And there you go. And as you can see, you can see all the high quality detail of the normal map itself, but no mesh density. Normal maps are awesome. That's all I got to say. Next thing I want to do is I want a logo for my golf ball. So we'll just go to Photoshop here real quick. We'll select New. We'll create text. We'll just, all right, there we go. I don't want impact. I want my Bible Earth font right there. And I'm just going to type in, I think I want the letters blue. So we're just going to select blue here. I'm going to type Bible Earth. All good. And probably want to outline that. Let's get a stroke around that. Not white, probably want black. Looks good. Or maybe yellow would be cool. I think yellow might be cool. I don't know. We'll probably want a black around it. There we go. That looks good enough for me. All right, this is going to be a logo for our golf ball. We're going to put a logo on the golf ball. So next thing we want to do is just crop this down. Don't need all this space here. And just get this, just crop this like that. All right, awesome. Crop, remove the white background because we're going to save this as a PNG. I'm just going to go to File, Save As. Go down here to PNG. Type Bible Earth. That's good enough. Well, golf ball maybe. There we go. It's good enough. That'll work. We'll compress it. Why not? That's all we need for that. All right, let's go back into Substance Painter. Let's go to File and Import Resources, or you can click on this icon here. And we're going to add a resource. I want that Bible Earth logo I just made in Photoshop. And we got to define it. It is a texture. And import your resources for, and we're going to click this box, current session. We're only going to use it for now, and we're going to import that in there. Awesome. I don't need this layer here. We're going to delete that. I want to search for plastic in here, and there's a plastic gloss thing. We'll just drag that up here, and we'll just put it on our golf ball. Also, I want to bake this. The reason why I want to bake it is because I want to put some scratches on it. So we'll just bake it and we'll just wait a little bit here until it's done. Come on, bake. Let's go. Like I said, I'm eating up a lot of resources on my computer, so I don't know if we're having memory issues or not. I don't know. Probably need to check that. All right, so we're all baked here. This will allow us to put some scratches on here. On the normal map itself, it's really cool. So like I said, if you model, Substance Painter is the thing to have because it is awesome. And it comes with other tools, Substance Designer, and they just came out with Alchemy, and Alchemy does amazing things with textures you find. You can turn textures you find into PBR materials, and it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. So we want to put our logo on this, so let's create a new fill layer here. And I want to find my logo. We'll click all here. We'll just type in Bible Earth. There it is. And we want to click this and we want to drag this over to base color. There it is. My logo's on the golf ball. It's kind of big though. Probably don't need it that big. Probably need to make it a little smaller. So we're just going to scale this down a little bit to about the size we like. I think we hold in Shift key, it doesn't scale as fast. There we go. That's probably good enough. Where it says UV wrap, where it says repeat, just select none. And our logo will be placed on our ball. Now you notice, even though the golf ball is smooth, and the normal map is the only thing causing the bumpiness effect, Substance Painter will put the logo on top of the normal map as if there was real geometry there. As if these raised bumps or these divots or whatever they are were real. And that is the cool thing about Substance Painter. I mean, it amazing. Because we know this golf ball is perfectly smooth. The only thing giving this effect is the texture maps in the normal map. So very impressive. So I want to add, like most golf balls have like, I don't know, they have like scrapes around the holes. Like when I played putt-putt, like all the hole edges were kind of scraped up. So let's add that in there. I'm going to click on this glossy, right click. We're going to add a black mask. And in this black mask, we have something called Smart Mask over here. I just want to type in edge and see what my selections are. Fabric edge, gun edge, edge is strong, no, edge is scratch. Edges, I think I like the sound of that. We can give it a try. Let's drop it in there. Okay, so that's the effect there. We'll just click on this. All right, over here where it says invert, I'm going to need to invert this, so we're going to turn the invert. And where it says wear level, I just want to turn this down some. I don't need it super scratched up. I don't need to. Okay, I think that's going to be good. So we see a little, maybe just down a little bit more. There we go. Now the player is never going to notice these little subtle scratches on here. But oftentimes when we make video games, a lot of stuff we make, the players never notice or even care. It's kind of how it is. But we know they're there. So we know there's like these little realistic scratches around there. Let's go ahead and export these out. So we're going to export these textures. I'm going to select the folder that my Unity game folder. So they'll go right into Unity. And that's Golf Live, and the assets, and the models, and the golf ball. I want to select that folder there. And we got them at 2048. If you're making a mobile game, you might want to export these as 1024 or even 500. We're going to leave it like this, and we're just going to export our golf ball textures into Unity. Awesome. All done there. So let's go into Unity and see what we got. And so here's the model folder we created in Blender, and in that model folder is our golf ball. There's our golf ball model right there. And here's our textures we exported from Substance Painter. So for some reason, this version of Unity, our golf ball model does have a material, but if I go here to materials and I try to extract that material, Unity crashes. I don't know why that is. I'm using a version of Unity that is being tested, I guess. I don't know, but it crashes. And so what we can do is we'll just right click here. We'll go to create, and we'll just create us a new material. We're going to call this golf ball. Like that. And in this golf ball, we're going to select that. I'm going to click this little lock key here. So this will lock the editor. So if I click on any of these, it doesn't switch to those. And I'm going to drag my albedo into the albedo slot. I'm going to drag my metallic map into my metallic slot. And I'm going to drag my normal map into my normal slot. I'm going to hit fix. And there we are. And that's what it looks like. It'll look better once. And then I'm going to select my model and I'm going to drag it into my scene. And there's our golf ball right there, right in Unity, somewhere. All right, there we go. There's our golf ball. That's all it is, just a spear. All right, James Martin sent me a friend request. Well, thank you, James. Appreciate it, but I'll get to you later, partner. All right, so now we want to drag our material that we made onto our golf ball. And we can zip around. Now, Unity uses Maya controls. There's my Bible Earth logo. There's our golf ball. Isn't that pretty cool? All right, awesome. So our golf ball is in Unity. We're just making a Unity putt-putt golf scene. That's all we're doing today. I'm testing my streams. I'm going to check the numbers in the CPU and GPU. I'm streaming to 3 different places. And I'm just doing this to check streams, folks. This is not really a tutorial. For our golf ball game, we need a golf ball course or something real simple. So I'm going to turn on snaps here. Push the numpad 1 key. I'm going to move my golf ball on top of this red line. Let me get a drink here. And then I think, let's see, we want to make a green for Unity. And so the best thing to use to start that with is we'll hit Shift A. We're going to select mesh. We're just going to select this cube here. I'm going to push the 1 key on the numpad 1 key. And I guess my screencast keys turned off, like I said earlier. We'll just push in screencast keys, re-enable those again. I don't know why it does that. All right, so they're back in action. And this is going to be the green. I'm going to make a new collection. So I'm going to type new. I'm going to rename this golf assets. And I'm going to drag this cube down here. That'll separate it from our golf ball. And we can shut that collection off. Okay. Oh man. Okay, there we go. So that turned it all on. Wow. Oh, I want to shut that off. Shut off our cube. Also, if you want to check out the lighting on anything, you can come over here, click on BetCap, and just select one of those guys there. So, and you can also render it or whatever you want to do. But just thought I'd bring that up. Let's get our. I don't want that on. I just want that, and I want my golf ball back. So we're gonna click that on. All right, awesome. All right, so this cube is going to be called green. That's what the golf ball is going to rest on. We went at the tab key, going to edit mode. We want to hit the 3 key to go into face selection mode. We want to select that. I want my little transform gizmo out here. And I'm just going to drag this like way out here because I want to be able to shoot long or just have it look long in Unity. And we'll push the 7 key for top down view. Zoom in a little bit, and I think maybe a little longer. Maybe right here is okay. Yeah, I think that's long enough. Yeah, just something to like, you know. Now we're only creating a scene in Unity. We're not making an actual golf game. Like I said, I'm just testing streams today. But I just wanted you guys to look at something so I can look at the numbers later, and instead of just, you know, just make stuff up and talk about absolutely nothing. We're going to push the 7 key. I want to drag this out to here, and I'm going to grab this face, and I want to drag this out to here. Is that going to be wide enough? I think that should be wide enough. Yeah, why not? Awesome. So there's our green. I'm going to tap back into object mode, and I want to make rails because most mini golf courses have like rails on the side. We're going to just hit Shift A, and we're going to make, you guessed it, another cube. Select that, and we're going to come over here, find our cube. Our cube's underneath here, and we're going to just drag it over there. And where is our cube at? I bet it's in this scene. Yep, went in that scene collection for some reason. Guess we gotta have that selected when we create stuff. I don't know. I haven't used Blender 2.80 that much, so but we're gonna name this Rails. There we go. Why not? All right. So we're gonna push the numpad 1 key, and I want to drag my rail down here, and I want the rail to be about as high as the golf ball. So I'm going to go into edit mode by pushing the tab key. I'm going to select this face. I want to move this face up to about the height of the golf ball. Also, we're going to need to put a hole in this so the golf ball can fall down in the hole. And right now the golf ball is the same height as the green itself. So I'm going to have to, let's go tab back into object mode, select that, tab back into edit mode, select this face. I just want to move this, move this screen down just a little bit. Just my transform, it's way over there. So what we can do, if you don't want to hunt the transform, you just hit the G key, hit the Z key in the direction you're moving, and just move it down. That should be good enough to right about there. Let's go back into object mode, select our railing. I'm going to select the bottom, go into edit mode, select the face, that bottom face, push the numpad 1 key, orthographic view, and we'll just slide this down. So there we go. So that's what we have. And so I want to just drag this out to the edge of here. I want to drag this out to the edge of that. Awesome. 7 key, so we can get a top-down view. Now we could have made this in Unity, but I really wanted it to be one piece. So we can't really do that in Unity. Maybe ProBuilder can in Unity. ProBuilder's free. I don't use ProBuilder, but it's a modeling building thing for Unity, inside Unity itself. So you might want to check that out. And so I just want to make this railing one piece. That way if I assign like a bounce to it or some kind of physics to it, I don't have to assign it to like 4 different pieces. It's just all one piece. So I'm going to hit the Z key. I'm going to go into wireframe mode here. I'm going to push the number 1 key to go into vertex selection mode. I'm going to click outside of here to deselect everything. I'm going to push the C key and select this group of vertices here. And I'm just going to move these out here like that. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other side here. I'm going to push the C key, and I'm just going to move these guys out to there. With that done, I'm going to push the number 3 key. I'm going to select these faces. I'm going to hold Shift. I've selected that face. I'm holding Shift. I'm going to select that face. And then I'm going to push the E key for extrude, and I'm just going to pull these down. Extrude these all the way to the end down here. Let's get all these guys all the way down. I want it to line up with the edge there, and I think they're lined up. Number 7 key, top down orthographic view. Yeah, they're lined up. Awesome. Awesome. All right, so I want to go back into vertex selection mode. That's the 1 key. And let's see, I push the 7 key. All right, deselect everything and push the C key, select those. Also, I think in Blender 2.80 you can just box select, I think. Yeah, box select. And then I could hit G and X and pull these up this way. I think it, yeah. Yeah, it selects all of them. So Blender 2.80, I'm used to working in the old Blender. So we can just box select these, G, G and then X, and then move those up there too, like that. You can do it that way too if you want. So awesome. All right, so I'm going to get out of wireframe. Let's go back to solid mode. I'm going to hit the 3 key, so that'll go. Also, you can change them up here: vertex selection, edge selection, and face selection. And I'm just going to select that face, and I'm going to hold Shift and select that face. And then I'm going to push Control and E. And I'll bring up this little thing here, and I'm going to select Bridge Edge Loops, and bam, we are done. Pretty cool. Now, I don't need to unwrap this, okay? If you know, if I was going to paint it in Substance Painter, of course I'd have to have a UV map and I'd have to unwrap these. I'm just going to use Unity's materials for these, but we still need to create a hole for the ball to roll in. So to do that, I'm going to push Shift A. We'll select, we're going to select the cylinder option here. Let's get a top-down view, number 7, numpad 7 key, top-down view. And right where this little box here, cylinder, we're going to bring that up, and where it says radius, we're going to scroll this out, and you're going to see this cylinder get bigger. And I think that's, if you want to make this regulation, go for it. Have at that. I will tell you that real world measurements do not always translate well into a video game. I think you'll find that real world measurements makes things very small and hard to work with in Unity Editor, and they don't look as good. I'm just thought I'd mention that. I think that's big enough for a ball to fall into. And for the depth, I'm going to push numpad 1 key, hold Shift, middle mouse wheel, and come down here. And of course I can't see in there, so let's click on our X-ray thingy here. And for the depth, I want to bring this down, like so. Just like that. And I made a mistake. I was in edit mode for the rails when I created this cylinder, so now the cylinder is actually part of the rails. But that's okay. That's okay. To fix this, all we got to do is push the P key and select selection, and then go back into edit mode. Let's get out of X-ray mode, and now we can select this, and now it's its own object again. Thing is, it's called Rails 2. I'm just going to call this hole cutter, like that. There we go. So if you ever make that mistake, also if you made that mistake, you can hover over something and push the L key, and that'll select that object that you created in edit mode, and then push the P key and separate the selection. Okay. So I have my hole cutter here. Now you can see the origin point is not in the center. Kind of want that in the center. And so set origin, and we want to origin to geometry, and that'll put it in the center of our cylinder here. So I want to move this down to the very end, because that's where we're going to cut our hole. Ooh, all the way down. Wow, that's quite a ways down there. All right, I'll put the hole right about there. Awesome. And so I want to take this cylinder and cut a hole into my green. And before I do that, you can see the cylinder has faceted sides to it. We can fix that by right-clicking and go to Shade Smooth. And the problem with it, it's going to give my hole like a rounded cut at the bottom. So what we could do is we can push the backslash key on the numpad key. Just push that. That'll isolate this selection. We're going to tab into edit mode. We're going to hit Control R and scroll the mouse wheel once. All right, and create 2 edge loops like that. All right, and with these 2 edge loops, I'm going to hit S and to scale, and I'm going to hit Z to keep them on the Z axis, and I'm just going to move them up to the top here to kind of reinforce that edging up there like that. Okay, and then we can push the numpad backslash key, and we're back in business. Okay, so I'm going to go back to object mode. and I want my hole cutter selected, and then I want to select my green like so. And I'm going to cut a hole in here. Now, if you don't have Bull Tools enabled, let's go to Edit, go to Preferences, Bull Tools, and make sure Object Bull Tools is selected, and make sure you click on Save Preferences after you've selected that. And so this will work. We're just going to hit Shift, Control, and numpad minus key, and there's our golf ball hole right there. All good. So next thing to do with this is we're going to export this golf course into Unity. And to do that, we're just going to select the rails, hold Shift and select the green. We're going to select these two. We're going to go to File. We're going to go to Export. We're going to go to Export FBX. Presets. I got Unity here, and I already got my folder for Unity selected. We're going to go up one right there. It says golf ball. I'm going to click a new folder. I'm going to say hole 1. Maybe we had like tons of holes, so I went hole 1 underscore 1 assets. Click in here, and I'm going to name my model greens and rails. Greens underscore rails. We don't generally want to use spaces when working with video game files or model files or anything, so try to avoid using spaces. I don't know if it matters today, but it did in the past, and we're just going to export this into our Unity folder. There we go. All done. So let's go to our Unity folder, or our Unity program, and we already have our golf ball out here. It's ready to go. Now we're just creating a scene. I'm not creating a golf game, and I'm just testing stream, so we're almost done here. There's our green and rails. I just want to drag this up here, and there it is. And this is what we created in Blender. Boy, that's some narrow green, but anyways, it'll have to do. I want to, let's see here. I want to select my golf ball here. I want to move this over, move this up some. There we go, like that. All right, so we want a green and rails to have some color because they don't have any color. So what we can do is we can right click in here. We can go to create. We can go to material, and we can select, name this green. And then we can just right click. Well, we can just select that, hit Control D. That'll duplicate it, and then we'll just we're going to just rename this to rails. There we go. So we created two materials, and we can click on these materials. And for some reason, they have this information in here, and we don't want any information in here. I don't know why Unity's doing that. We don't want any of this information in here. All right, so I want, for rails, I want to give it a brown color. Oh, wow. What's it doing? Changing my golf ball color. Why is that? Did like it make an instance of this? Makes no sense. It's very strange. So why did it do that? That's not happened before. We're live, so obviously. All right, so let's go to our holes and assets folder. Why is this? I don't understand. Why did it do that? If I create a new material, it should be a new flippin' material. It shouldn't have anything in it. Oh, I see. The lock icon. Oh my goodness. Okay, so make sure if you use this lock icon, shut it off. That's what it was. Really? All right, so we'll just rename. Normally double clicking on it renames it. We'll just try this again. And then we're going to hit Control D. It was a lock icon, and we'll just go to rename, and we'll call this rails. All right, mystery solved. Rails, I just want this to be a brown. So maybe like that. And green, we want green for our golf course. So just like that. That looks good. And we want to drag the green on top of our green, and we want to drag these rails on our rails. There we go. There is our golf course. Pretty cool, huh? And so now we made a mini golf course scene in Unity from Blender to Substance Painter. And I know what you're thinking. You probably want this ball to roll, huh? Well, that's going to take some C# coding. And I'm a modeler. I work for Rakia Studios, and I do their modeling for them. I don't do their coding for them. So C# is a whole other thing. You know what? Yeah, why not? Why? Well, let's give it a shot. Let's try to at least make the ball move or something. Do something. All right, so we need to select our ball here. We want to add a mesh collider to this ball. So because this ball has no way to know if it's bumping into anything else. So in Unity, we want a sphere collider for the ball, because the ball's round, it's a sphere. And for the, I want to edit this. I want it to be at 0.9. So it's not the exact same size as the ball. And we do that for a number of reasons, just for visual, because if a player like shoots something through, a lot of times the object looks to the player like it can go through, but it doesn't. And so we can fix that for the player just by making the collider just a little bit smaller than what the visual object is itself. So just a little tip there. For these rails, and we're going to have to select the rails here. And we can hold control and select the greens too, and we can just add, we're going to have to add a mesh collider to these guys. Simply because if we added a box collider or something, a box collider would cover all the rail and our ball would sit hover above this. Also on the green, we have to add a mesh collider. Otherwise, this hole would be covered up. So we will add a mesh collider. Now, mesh colliders are more expensive in computing power terms, so at all possible, if you can avoid them, but sometimes we can't avoid them. So a lot of times what I'll do, like if I have a rock, like a rock in a game and it's all kind of weird shaped, I'll go ahead and use a box collider for it, so the player can't walk through the rock, and the player's not really going to notice. You can use a mesh collider, which will fit on that rock perfectly, but that mesh collider is going to create a whole lot of polys that are unnecessary. So, but for this case, we do need a mesh collider for this case. So just keep that in mind. Mesh colliders are expensive and degrade gaming performance. They do. Sometimes you just got to use them. All right, so with our colliders, our ball will now know, once the collider hits the green collider here, our ball will know to stop. But the problem is our ball has no physics. And to add physics to this ball, we're going to have to add a component called a rigid body. And right there. And the biggest thing is the gravity. We want it to have gravity. And we can add drag and mass. There's a lot of things we can do with this. I'm not going to mess with that now. So I want to make sure our ball falls and doesn't fall through the earth. Also, we want to set our camera. And to do that in scene view here, we can position our camera the way we want it. And we can select our main camera here. We can hit Control-Shift-F. And that'll position it in our gaming window. Let's maximize this and see what happens. All right, so our ball falls to the green. That's what we want it to do. And we want our ball to start at the green. And so it's probably 0.9. My guess, I want to be able to select my ball here. There we go. So I probably need to make this 0.9, but you know, we can run the simulation. Oh, we got to turn maximize off. So let's try that again. I'll turn maximize off, and with the ball selected, we want to look at the Y value, because Y is up and down in Unity. Yeah, it's 0.9. That's what I thought it would be. We'll hit Control C there, unpause it, and we'll just paste Control V and paste that value there. And now our ball is resting perfectly on the green. So there we've added some physics. Have our logo, and there is our golf. That's it. That's it. I know what you're thinking. You probably want this ball to roll some, don't you? And that's going to take some C# scripting. There's probably some golf ball C# scripts already written for Unity if you want to go search for them. But, okay. Okay, like I said, I do the modeling. I'm not a coder, really. I'm not. I can read C# script. I can. But to sit there and like make stuff up from scratch, not so much. Not so much. So I guess at least what we want to do is if I click on this ball, like we click on it. So if you're new to C#, think about what you want to do. Right now, I just want to be able to click on the ball and have the ball move somewhere. That's it. Okay, that's the goal. I want to mouse click on the ball and the ball like do something. So we're going to select this asset folder. We're going to right click here. We're going to create a new folder. And I'm going to call this scripts. Scripts, just like that. Okay. I'm going to open my script folder. I'm going to right click in here. I'm going to go to create, and I'm going to create a new C# script. And I'm going to call this ball controller. Why not? Just like that. Awesome. And I'm going to double click on this. And hope Visual Studio loads. There's Visual Studio. There's going. And let's see. Okay, blank window. Awesome. That's not what I wanted. Let's double click on this again. There we go. All right, this is C#. These are up here, I guess, are called namespaces. And void start, I think that happens like when the game first starts, everything in these curly braces. Void update is for things that happen per frame. Void update is per frame. So if you run at 30 frames per second, then this checks 30 times a second. So I think we want to click on this ball with the mouse and have it do something, like move. Maybe shoot down there. And so we got to think about how we're going to do that. So let's create a new function. Oh, here we go. Let's say here, void on mouse down. I think I want that one. There we go. So when I click on this, Visual Studio should create everything for me. There we go. Creates my curly braces and everything. So private void on mouse down. And this should be a Unity command that if I like left click on something, it should respond. So the void on mouse down. And just to be sure, I'm going to type debug.log, let's see, parenthesis things or something for arguments. No, not that guy. That guy. Okay, those things. Debug.log, and then I need those, and let's see here. Ball clicked, and then I'm going to need a one of those. I forgot the name of those, but we need one. All right, so you need one of these guys right here. So if we zoom in, one of these here, you need one of those at the end, okay? Zoom out just a little bit. Okay, well, I guess a little bit bigger is better, right? Bigger is better. In Texas, bigger is better. All right, so debug.log, ball clicked. And what this should do is print this in our console. All right, so we went and hit Control S and save that. Let's go back to Unity here. Let me see a little spinning thing. Well, it used to be there, but oh well, whatever. Oh, the other thing, if you want to speed things up, lighting, turn off auto generate, okay? Because Unity's every time you move something, change a light, or do anything, it starts compiling the lighting. So if you just want to speed things up, if you got a slower system, you want to probably shut that off. Okay, so if everything worked okay, in our console, when we click on this ball, it should say ball clicked. It should say something. So I want to put my game window up here. All right, just like that. And I want to make sure that maximize on play is not enabled. And I want to be checking my console window. Oh, another thing, for any script to be activated in Unity, it needs to be put on a game object. So I'm going to take this ball controller script. I'm going to drag it on top of the golf ball, or golf ball, however you say it. Just drag it on top of that, so that we have our golf ball C# script right here. Let's push play, see what happens. See if anything. All right, so I'm clicking. Ah, wow, my scene is really dark. I have to brighten that up some, I guess. Clicking, nothing happens. If I click on the golf ball, it says ball clicked. Click over here, nothing. Click on the golf ball, ball clicked. Okay, so that part's working. It only works if we click on the golf ball and no place else, so that's what we want. Shut that off. All right, so let's add some more functionality. Why is everything so dark? Makes no sense. Did I do something with my directional light? There we go. Let's turn that guy up a little bit. My goodness. And plus it has this like yellow tint. It's kind of like to simulate daylight. Let's get it to white. There we go. That'll work. And of course we can add post-processing effects, bloom, all kinds of cool stuff in Unity, but we're not doing all that today. So let's clear that. Okay, so that works. So on our golf ball, in order to get this to move, let's go to the scene window. In order to get this to move, all these things on the side are components. We have a transform component, we have a rigid body component, we have a sphere collider component, and the thing we want to affect is this rigid body, because that's the component that moves it and gives force and has the gravity. So you want to get this rigid body component here. All right. And so how we do this? Let's see here. So we need to add some code here for when we click on that. Let's see here. So we want to get that rigid body component. So get component. That's already there for me. Just select that. Get component, and then we want the less than and greater than signs. We want rigid body, and so that filled that out for us. Let's see here. This needs arguments. I think we need parentheses. I don't know. We'll find out. All right, so rigid body, and these are get component. We're getting the rigid body component, this component here, and we want to do something with this rigid body, okay? Because that's the gravity and any forces that need to apply. And my mouse is acting up, so we need this rigid body component. Okay, I wish I had my son here. Let's see here. All right, so I don't think we need any parameters in there. I think what we need to do is put a dot to tell that, and that dot we can select what we're going to do with that rigid body. And I think we want to use velocity. Well, velocity would move it on world axis. I think we want to add relative force or something. Let's just type add relative force. And there it is, already selected for it. We'll just select that. Okay, so we're going to add relative force. All right, so get component. We're going to get the rigid body of that golf ball so we can manipulate this. And then we're going to add a relative force to that rigid body. And so we're going to need some parameters here. Which we want to shoot it down that way. So the x positive's facing this way. And so negative x would be that way, right? I think so. And y is up. We don't want to shoot it up in the air. So we want to push it on the negative x-axis. Okay, so this is going to take, I think, 3 parameters. So let's get our little parameter thing there. And we want to minus, let's shoot it 900. comma 0. 0 would be the y-axis. So it's x, y, z. Just keep that in mind. So x, y, and z, we don't want it to go anywhere there. So I'm just add a 0. And we're going to need a one of those things at the end of it. And so hopefully this will shoot it forward. So we're going to hit Control S and save that. So let's see what happens here. And there we go. And we'll just click on that. And there we go. Oh, let's switch to scene view. We might have a hole-in-one. I have no friction enabled on this or any other physics. So this could be a hole-in-one, folks. This could be it right here. Oh, it's going. I gotta see where it's going. It's in the hole. It's in the hole. Come on, look at this. It's in the hole. Kaboom, chakalaka. There we go. That's how you make a golf game, folks. Oh my goodness. Isn't that cool? All right, maybe not so much. Alrighty, and so awesome. And I know in a golf game, like you can change your force and stuff, and things like that. You know what? Why don't we can try that? We can try. Why not? I'm having fun, so why not? And I will read chat, whatever chats I can find. I have nobody chatting on my Twitch server. I just created a brand new account, and there's nobody there. Do you know why? They're watching video games when they could be making video games. That's right. A bunch of kids growing up, not learning a thing, just watching other people play video games. And I'm streaming on Twitch. I'm teaching you how to make a freaking game. Children today, man, I'll tell you. Not one viewer on my Twitch channel. How about that? Amazing. And YouTube, I have no clue. I don't see anybody on my YouTube. I don't even know where my stream's at on YouTube. So I don't even know if anybody's watching on my YouTube. And I don't know about Facebook either. I don't have a chat window for that. But we'll keep going. All right, we'll just keep going. So I went away to change this velocity. And so we're going to have to create a variable in this class, ball controller class. We can't create it in a method because it won't be read by other methods. We're going to have to create a class itself. So I'm just going to make a public float. We're going to call this ball force. And we're going to make this equal to 900. There we go, just like that. All right, so we got a public variable called ball force, and that ball force is equal to 900. In my update method, I want to, let's see here. Let's see here. We need to use an if statement, I think. If, and then we're going to need these bracket things because the if needs some parameters. If input dot get key, well, so if input dot get key down, so we want to push a key. Let's see here. Key code dot alpha 1. I think that looks good enough. That looks pretty good. All right. So we can do this another way. We can just say get key down and then parentheses and then whatever we want to push. But that's not. I want the specific key code, and we just avoid problems later for that. And so we hit enter. We're going to need some curly braces since we have an if statement. So all if statements get curly braces. And we want to ball force, ball force and plus equals 100, like that. So we want to add 100 to that ball force. All right, and if we wanted to subtract from this, we can just copy this. I think we'll just do that. Copy that. Go right here and push paste. And we want number 2 key. And we want a minus ball force. Just like that. All right, so avoid update. This is going to check every frame. So if we push the 1 key, this will add to the ball force. If we push the 2 key, it should subtract from the ball force. And I want to put this variable, ball force, I'm going to Control C. I want to put it in this, where it says -900, I'm going to put our variable in there instead, because that's the force on the x-axis that this is going to be pushed. Awesome. Oh, and another thing, we probably, in your void update, you probably want to refactor this. So we're just going to create a void, let's call this ball force selection. So we're just going to refactor this, and we need little curly braces thingies. And we're just going to copy all this code here, and we're just going to paste this code into there, and then we're just going to copy and paste this, Control C, in place of all this here, Control V, and we need a little one of those things at the end of that. So void update is going to call this new function we created. All right. And it's going to void update every frame. It's going to call this function ball force selection. So it's going to go down to here to ball force selection, and it's going to see if the player is put in any key. So we have an if statement, and the if statement gets these braces, so we can put in our information in those braces. And we want to input something. We want the player to input a key, and we have a get key down. Okay, so that's Unity saying I'm waiting for the key to be pressed, and we want the key code alpha 1, and that's the number 1 key on the keyboard. And if a player pushes the number 1 key, then it's going to add 100 extra to our force, and we have the public float ball force equal 900 here, so it's going to be 1000. If the player pushes the number 2 key, it's going to subtract from the force. So let's hit S. And let's go back into Unity. And oh, one more thing I want to do. Normally we would have something on the screen to let the player know what his ball force was set to. But I'm not going to put, I'm not doing all that tonight. In fact, I'm doing a lot more than what I thought I'd be doing, but why not? So what I want to do is I just want to, we can type debug debug.log, and it's okay. We're gonna ball force, and then we're going to space. We're gonna hit this little plus sign, ball force. Oops, spelled it wrong. And actually it's right here. We just could have just selected that, and I want one of these things. I'm going to find out what the name of those things are, and I just want to copy this, Control C, and I want to put it underneath here. This will let us know, and then we're going to hit Control S and save that. All right, so I should be able to select my ball force. And since we made this public, we also can select it in here in the inspector. So we can start with like 100. Okay, that's 1200. I just want 100. Like so. And so we have control over this. All right, we have control over this over here since we made it public. So it shows up in the inspector. So when we start, it should start with ball force 100. And when we click on this ball, it should barely move. There you go. It's just it barely just moves. So let's ramp up the juice on this and see what we can do. All right, so I'm going to push the numpad 1 key, and you can see ball force 300, 400, and let's just crank this guy up. Probably can shoot this off into the game off the screen itself. All right, so we got it cranked up there. We could also lower it by pushing the 2 key. And increase it by the 1 key. Let's crank this guy up to 3000. Try to shoot it off into space. There it goes. Ah, it didn't make it off into space. Oh well. I suppose if we cranked it up high enough, we can send it into oblivion. All right. No, let's give that a shot again. All right, so maybe we should crank this up to, let's see here. Let's crank it up to 4. There we go. Now let's shoot it off into space. There it goes. Off into infinity. And you can see the y-axis here. This thing's going to fall forever. And what we would do is we put a script on there if y is equal or greater than negative whatever you set it to, then destroy the game object. Or you can put a collider underneath there, or and when that ball hits that trigger underneath the game world, it will destroy itself and reset for the player. And that's some things you got to think about designing video games. All right, so I'm going to collect all my numbers, my CPU usage, my stream usage, and I hope somebody liked this. If not, that's fine. I'm just testing myself. I just wanted something for you to look at and get to understand a little bit about video games. Please do not subscribe to me if you're looking for more Unity and Blender videos. I don't do those, and but I do teach the Word of God, and we do talk about truth or stuff like the earth being flat, and we talk about 5G and all kinds of crazy things that are going out in the daily place we live in called Earth. So I am Mike, and please like and subscribe.